The clatter of my fork hitting the china plate silenced the entire room. 23 people, 3 generations of family gathered around tables I'd spent 2 days preparing, all frozen mid-bite staring at me. But I wasn't looking at them. I was looking at my daughter-in-law, Kathy, whose perfectly lipsticked mouth had just uttered the most venomous words I'd heard in my 68 years on this earth. She doesn't deserve a seat at this table. She was talking about my granddaughter, my Lily, my 15-year-old ray of sunshine who sat there with tears already pooling in her green eyes, her fork trembling in her hand. I'm Christina Chun, and that Thanksgiving dinner was supposed to be a celebration. Instead, it became the day I learned that sometimes the greatest betrayals come wrapped in designer clothes and fake smiles, from the people you've welcomed into your home with open arms. Before I tell you what happened next, what I discovered, and how I made sure Kathy never hurt my family again, I need you to do something for me. Subscribe to Family Tales right now. Because this story, my story, needs to be heard. It's about what happens when you stay silent too long, and what happens when you finally find your voice. My husband Richard and I built our life in Austin, Texas, starting with nothing but hope and $200 between us. That was 1979. We were young, in love, and determined to create something meaningful. Richard worked construction during the day and went to night school. I waitressed at a diner called Rosie's, working double shifts while pregnant with our first child. We had 3 sons. Marcus, our oldest, became a cardiologist. He married his college sweetheart, a sweet woman named Patricia, and they gave us 2 grandsons who are now in their 20s. Our middle son, James, never married but travels the world as a photojournalist, sending us postcards from places I can barely pronounce. And then there was Daniel, our baby, our surprise blessing, who came along when I was 41 and Richard was 43. Daniel was different from his brothers. Quieter, more sensitive, artistic where they were analytical. He saw the world through a painter's eyes, finding beauty in broken things, always trying to fix what was damaged. Maybe that's why he fell so hard for Kathy. They met at an art gallery opening 7 years ago. Daniel was exhibiting his work for the first time, nervous as a cat in a room full of rocking chairs. Kathy walked in wearing a black dress that probably cost more than our first car. Her blonde hair swept up in some complicated style, looking like she'd stepped out of a magazine. She bought 3 of Daniel's paintings that night. 3 months later they were engaged. I had reservations from the start, but I kept them to myself. Kathy came from money, old money, the kind that builds wings on hospitals and has buildings named after them. The Sutton family had been in Texas society for generations. Her father owned a chain of luxury car dealerships. Her mother sat on the boards of half the charities in the state. And here was my Daniel, a sweet, talented man who drove a 15-year-old truck and lived in a converted garage studio, making just enough from his art to get by. "Mom, I love her," Daniel told me the night he proposed. We were sitting on my back porch, the one Richard had built by hand, watching fireflies dance in the warm Texas evening. "I can see that, honey," I said carefully. "But love isn't always enough. You come from very different worlds." "That doesn't matter," he insisted, his eyes bright with the certainty only the young possess. "She loves me for who I am. She says I'm the most genuine person she's ever met." I wanted to believe him. I wanted to believe her. So I pushed my doubts down deep and threw myself into wedding planning, determined to be the supportive mother-in-law I'd always promised myself I'd be. The wedding was extravagant. Kathy's parents insisted on paying for everything, which should have made things easier but somehow made me feel small and inadequate. The reception was at the Four Seasons. There were ice sculptures and a 12-piece orchestra. My contribution, the groom's cake I'd stayed up 3 nights making, looked homely next to the towering confection that cost more than my monthly mortgage. But I smiled through it all. I hugged Kathy and called her daughter. I welcomed her into our family with genuine warmth, determined to love her the way I loved my own sons. The first year of their marriage seemed happy enough. They bought a house in Westlake Hills. Kathy's parents helped with the down payment, and Daniel set up a proper studio in the converted garage. Kathy got pregnant almost immediately, and I was overjoyed. Another grandchild to spoil, to love, to add to our growing family. Lily was born on a spring morning, all pink cheeks and downy dark hair, looking exactly like Daniel had as a baby. I fell in love the moment I held her, breathing in that impossibly sweet new baby smell, feeling her tiny fingers curl around mine. "She's perfect," I whispered to Daniel, who stood beside me with tears streaming down his face. "Just like her grandmother," he said, squeezing my shoulder. Kathy was a different story. From the start, motherhood seemed to weigh on her like an ill-fitting coat. She hired a nanny within weeks, went back to her charity luncheons and tennis club within months. I bit my tongue, reminding myself that different women mother differently, that it wasn't my place to judge. But I noticed things. Small things at first. The way Kathy would stiffen when Lily cried. How she'd hand the baby to the nanny the moment things got difficult. The way she talked about Lily as an accessory. She looked adorable at the benefit dinner, or everyone commented on her dress at the country club. Never about who Lily was becoming as a person. Daniel noticed too, but he made excuses. "She's adjusting," he'd say. "It's harder for some women than others. She loves Lily, Mom. She just shows it differently." I wanted to shake him, to make him see what I saw, but I held back. I'd promised myself I wouldn't be the interfering mother-in-law. I'd seen too many families torn apart by well-meaning mothers who couldn't let go. So I watched. And I waited. And I loved Lily with enough fierceness to make up for what she wasn't getting at home. Lily grew into a bright, curious child. She loved books and animals, spending hours in my backyard trying to make friends with the stray cats that wandered through. She had Daniel's sensitive soul and his artistic eye, drawing elaborate pictures that covered my refrigerator, telling stories that went on for hours. But she was also anxious in a way that broke my heart. She was startled easily. She apologized constantly, even for things that weren't her fault. At 5 years old, she was already walking on eggshells, already learning to make herself small. "Grandma," she asked me once when she was 7, her big green eyes searching my face, "why doesn't Mommy like me?" The question knocked the wind out of me. We were baking cookies in my kitchen, flour dusting our hands, and I had to turn away to hide the tears that sprang to my eyes. "Oh, honey," I said, pulling her into my arms. "Your mommy loves you. She has a hard time showing it sometimes." "But she shows Daddy," Lily said matter-of-factly. "She hugs him and kisses him. She smiles at him. She doesn't do that with me." What do you say to that? How do you explain to a 7-year-old that her mother is incapable of the kind of maternal love that should be as natural as breathing? "Some people," I said carefully, "show love in different ways. Your mommy makes sure you have nice clothes and go to good schools. That's her way of caring." Lily considered this, then shook her head. "I'd rather have hugs," she said simply. "Me too, sweetheart. Me too." I started keeping Lily more often after that. Every weekend, most holidays, whenever Kathy had a charity event or tennis tournament or spa day, which was often. Daniel protested sometimes, worried I was doing too much, but I insisted. Truth was, those days with Lily were the highlight of my week. We'd bake together, garden together, read together. I taught her to sew and crochet, passing down skills my own grandmother had taught me. We'd sit on the porch swing Richard had made, Lily curled against my side, and I'd tell her stories about her father growing up, about Richard before the cancer took him 5 years ago, about our family history. "I wish I could live with you, Grandma," she said once, and the longing in her voice nearly broke me. "I wish that too, baby girl," I admitted. "But you belong with your parents. That's where you need to be." I believed that then. I believed that somehow things would get better. that Kathy would grow into motherhood, that Daniel would stand up more. I believed a lot of things that turned out to be wrong. The trouble really started when Lily turned 13. She'd always been a good student, but suddenly her grades began to slip. She seemed distracted, withdrawn. The sparkle that had always lit her from within dimmed to barely a flicker. I asked her about it, but she insisted everything was fine. Daniel said the same thing. It's just teenage stuff, Mom. You know how it is. But I didn't believe it. I knew Lily too well, loved her too deeply. Something was wrong, and nobody was telling me what. Then came the incident at school. Lily got into a fight. My Lily, who wouldn't hurt a fly, who cried when we had to pull weeds because she felt bad for the plants. She punched another girl in the cafeteria, giving her a bloody nose. What on earth happened? I demanded when Daniel called to tell me. That's not like her at all. The girl was bullying her, Daniel said, his voice tight, saying horrible things about her art project. Lily just snapped. How long has this been going on? I don't know, Mom. She won't talk about it. Kathy thinks we should pull her out of public school. Send her to boarding school where she can learn proper behavior. Boarding school. I repeated, my blood running cold. She's 13 years old, Daniel. She needs her family, not to be shipped off somewhere. I know. I told Kathy no. But. He trailed off, and I could hear the exhaustion in his voice. Things have been tense at home. Really tense. Kathy's not happy about a lot of things. What things? My art career isn't taking off the way she expected. We're living off her trust fund, and she resents it. She takes it out on. He stopped. On Lily. I finished for him. The silence on the other end confirmed what I'd suspected, but hadn't wanted to believe. Daniel, I said carefully, you need to protect your daughter. Whatever's happening between you and Kathy, Lily can't be caught in the crossfire. I'm trying, Mom. I promise I'm trying. But trying wasn't enough. I could see it in Lily's eyes when she came to visit the following weekend. There was something broken in her that hadn't been there before, something wounded and scared. Talk to me, I begged her as we sat in the kitchen, supposedly making dinner but really just pushing vegetables around on cutting boards. There's nothing to talk about, she said, but her voice was hollow. Lily, please. I'm your grandmother. I love you more than anything in this world. Whatever it is, you can tell me. She looked up then, and the raw pain in her eyes made me want to wrap her up and never let her go. Mommy says I'm a disappointment, she whispered. She says I'm not pretty enough, not smart enough, not anything enough. She says I embarrass her in front of her friends. Rage, white hot and fierce, flooded through me. That is not true. Not one word of it. Then why does she say it? Lily's voice broke. Why does she look at me like she wishes I'd never been born? I pulled her into my arms, this girl who was becoming a young woman, who should have been filled with confidence and hope instead of self-doubt and pain. Because your mother has her own issues that have nothing to do with you, I said firmly. You are perfect exactly as you are. You're kind and creative and smart and beautiful. Don't ever let anyone make you feel less than that. Lily cried against my shoulder, great heaving sobs that came from somewhere deep and dark. I held her and stroked her hair, and made promises I didn't yet know how to keep. That was 2 years ago. 2 years of watching my granddaughter struggle, of seeing her confidence erode, of begging Daniel to do something, anything, to protect his child. 2 years of biting my tongue so hard it bled, of playing nice with Kathy because I was terrified that if I spoke up, I'd lose access to Lily entirely. 2 years of waiting for everything to fall apart. Which brings me back to that Thanksgiving dinner, to Kathy's venomous words, to the moment I finally stopped being silent. Planning the Thanksgiving dinner had been my idea. Richard and I used to host every year, cramming 30 people into our modest house, Food covering every surface, laughter echoing off the walls. After he died, I'd let the tradition lapse, the house feeling too empty, the memories too painful. But this year felt different. Marcus and Patricia were coming home from Boston, where Marcus had accepted a position at a prestigious hospital. James was stateside for the first time in 18 months. All my boys together again, plus the growing extended family. It felt like the right time to resurrect the tradition. I spent 2 weeks preparing. I cleaned the house top to bottom, polished Richard's mother's silver, ironed the tablecloths I'd stored away. I made list after list, planned every dish, every detail. This was going to be perfect. This was going to be the dinner that reminded us all what family meant. Lily came over the Tuesday before Thanksgiving to help me prep. "I'm so excited, Grandma," she said, genuine joy lighting her face in a way I hadn't seen in too long. "All of us together, like old times." "Like old times," I agreed, squeezing her hand. We worked side by side, peeling potatoes, chopping vegetables, making the pumpkin pies from scratch the way my mother had taught me. Lily chatted about school. She was doing better this year, had joined the art club, even made a few friends. "There's this girl, Megan," Lily said, her cheeks flushing slightly. "She's really cool. She likes painting too, and she wants to see my work sometime. You should invite her over," I suggested. "Maybe for hot chocolate this winter?" Lily's face fell. "Mommy wouldn't like that. She says I need to focus on making the right kinds of friends. She means girls from the country club, girls whose parents she knows." I bit back my anger. "Well, you can always bring friends here. This is your home too." "Thank you, Grandma." She hugged me tightly. "I don't know what I'd do without you." "You'll never have to find out," I promised. Kathy called that evening. Her voice honey-sweet and fake as artificial sugar. "Christina, I just wanted to check what time you need us on Thursday." "Dinner's at 3, I said. "But you're welcome to come earlier if you'd like to help." "Oh, I'm sure you have everything under control. You're so good at these family gatherings." The compliment felt like an insult somehow. "I wanted to let you know I'm bringing my parents. You don't mind, do you?" I minded very much. The Suttons had made their disdain for our family clear from the beginning, treating us like we were the help at their daughter's wedding. But what could I say? Of course not. The more the merrier. "Wonderful. We'll see you Thursday. Oh, and Christina? Please make sure there are appropriate wine options. Daddy is very particular about his Cabernet." She hung up before I could respond. I stood there holding the phone, feeling that familiar mixture of inadequacy and anger that Kathy always provoked in me. "Grandma." Lily appeared in the doorway. "Was that Mom?" "Yes, honey. She's bringing your other grandparents on Thursday." Lily's expression shuddered. "Great," she said flatly. "They'll spend the whole time criticizing everything and comparing me to my cousins from the country club. Hey, now it'll be fine. We won't let them ruin our day." But even as I said it, I felt a sense of foreboding settle over me like a dark cloud. Thanksgiving morning dawned bright and cold, the kind of Texas November day that makes you grateful for changing seasons. I was up before sunrise, sliding the turkey into the oven, setting out ingredients for the dozen dishes I'd be preparing throughout the day. Marcus and Patricia arrived first with their sons, 23-year-old Derek and 21-year-old Justin, both tall and handsome like their father. They filled the house with noise and energy, helping me rearrange furniture to accommodate everyone, setting up folding tables in the dining room and living room. James showed up next, tanned and lean from his travels, bringing stories of Morocco and gifts for everyone. Colorful scarves, intricate metalwork, spices that made my kitchen smell like exotic markets. "You look good, James," I told him, hugging him tight. My wandering son, always coming home just long enough to make me remember how much I missed him. "You look tired, Mom," he countered, studying my face with those sharp photographer's eyes that missed nothing. "Everything okay?" "Everything's fine," I lied. Just a lot of cooking. You know how it is. He didn't look convinced, but he let it drop, heading outside with his nephews to toss around a football while Patricia and I finished the side dishes. "How's Daniel?" Patricia asked casually as she mashed potatoes. We'd always been close, my daughter-in-law and I. She understood family in a way Kathy never would. "Struggling," I admitted. "The marriage isn't good, hasn't been for a long time. And Lily's caught in the middle." "That poor girl," Patricia said softly. "Derek mentioned he's been trying to talk to her more, but she's pulled away from the family. Kathy doesn't encourage connection. She wants Lily isolated, easier to control that way." "That's abuse, Christina." The word hung in the air between us. Abuse. I thought it, of course, but hearing it said out loud made it real in a way that terrified me. "I don't know what to do," I confessed. "I've tried talking to Daniel, but he's in denial. He thinks if he just tries harder, loves Kathy more, everything will work out." "Some things can't be fixed with love," Patricia said, her voice gentle but firm. "Sometimes you have to choose. And Daniel needs to choose his daughter." Before I could respond, the doorbell rang. Daniel, Kathy, and Lily had arrived, along with the Suttons. Henry and Constance Sutton swept into my home like they owned it, barely acknowledging my greeting, immediately critiquing the decor, the temperature, the smell of the turkey. "Is that a butterball?" Constance asked, her nose wrinkling. "We only do free-range, organic birds at our home. Better flavor, better ethics." "This turkey is delicious," I said firmly. "It's been in our family tradition for 40 years. Was all she said, but her expression conveyed volumes of judgment. Kathy looked elegant as always in a cream cashmere sweater and camel slacks, her hair and makeup flawless. Daniel looked exhausted, dark circles under his eyes, his shoulders slumped. And Lily looked like she wished she could disappear. She made a beeline for me the moment she could escape her mother's side. "Grandma," she whispered. "Can I help you in the kitchen?" "Of course, sweetheart." We escaped together, and I saw her shoulders relax the moment we were away from Kathy and the Suttons. "I was going to wear this dress my friend Megan helped me pick out," Lily said quietly as she started snapping green beans. "But Mom made me change. She said I looked like I was trying too hard." "What dress did you want to wear?" "A blue one with little flowers. It was pretty and it made me feel confident, I guess. But Mom said it was too casual, not appropriate for a family dinner where important people would be present." She made air quotes around the words. "Your other grandparents?" "Yeah. They're always criticizing me. My grades, my clothes, my art. Grandmother Constance told me last time I saw her that my paintings were amateur at best, and that I should focus on more practical pursuits like business or law." I felt my anger building but kept my voice calm. "Your art is beautiful, Lily. You have real talent. That's what Dad says too, but..." She trailed off, but I knew what she wasn't saying. Daniel's opinion didn't carry much weight in their household. Kathy did, and Kathy agreed with her parents about everything. The afternoon progressed in a tense undercurrent beneath surface pleasantries. Everyone gathered, the house full to bursting with people and food and conversation. On the surface, it looked like a perfect family Thanksgiving, but I could feel the fault lines, see the cracks. Kathy held court in the living room with her parents, discussing their upcoming cruise and the new Mercedes Henry was buying. She barely interacted with Lily, who stayed close to me in the kitchen or outside with her Uncle James, who was showing her photography techniques. Daniel tried to bridge the gap, moving between groups, attempting to create connection where none existed. He looked like a man drowning in slow motion, and I wanted to save him but didn't know how. Marcus pulled me aside around 2 o'clock. "Mom, is it just me or is the tension in here thick enough to cut with a knife?" "It's not just you. What's going on with Daniel and Kathy?" I hesitated. then decided my oldest son deserved the truth. I gave him the abbreviated version. Kathy's coldness toward Lily, the emotional abuse, Daniel's inability to protect his daughter. Marcus's face darkened. Why didn't you tell me this before? What could you have done from Boston? And Daniel's an adult, making his own choices. I can't force him to see what he doesn't want to see. But Lily's a kid. She needs someone to protect her. I know. I've been trying. Maybe it's time to stop trying and start doing, Marcus said grimly. At 3 o'clock, we all gathered around the tables. I'd set them beautifully. Richard's mother's china, the good silverware, autumn-colored flowers I'd arranged myself. The food covered every surface. Golden turkey, creamy mashed potatoes, green bean casserole, sweet potato soufflé, cranberry sauce, rolls, stuffing, 3 kinds of pie. It should have been beautiful. It should have been perfect. I asked everyone to hold hands for grace, something Richard had always done. We formed a circle around the tables, this patchwork family connected by blood and love and history. I'm grateful we're all here, I said, my voice catching slightly. Richard would have loved seeing everyone together again. So let's take a moment to remember him, and to be thankful for each other. We observed a moment of silence. I felt Lily's small hand gripping mine tightly on one side, James's strong hand on the other. When I opened my eyes, I saw tears on several faces, love and remembrance filling the room. Then we sat down to eat. For a while everything was fine. The food was delicious. I could tell by the compliments the seconds people went back for, the contented sounds of eating. Conversation flowed around the table. James's stories from abroad, Derek's tales from medical school, Patricia's updates about their new life in Boston. Then Constance Sutton decided to offer her opinion on the meal. The turkey is a bit dry, don't you think? She said loudly, addressing no one and everyone. And this stuffing, is this from a box? It's homemade, I said evenly. From my mother's recipe. Well, tastes differ, I suppose. Kathy laughed, that tinkling artificial laugh that set my teeth on edge. Mother be nice. Christina did her best. Her best. As if I hadn't spent 2 weeks preparing. As if this meal wasn't made with love and care and decades of practice. But I swallowed my pride and smiled. I'm glad everyone's enjoying it. The conversation moved on. Henry started discussing his car dealerships, boring everyone with profit margins and inventory numbers. I saw Lily's eyes glazing over, saw her pushing food around her plate. Lily, honey, eat something, I said gently. I'm not very hungry, Grandma. You need to eat, Kathy interjected sharply. You're getting too thin. People will think I'm not feeding you properly. Because that's what mattered, what people thought. She looks fine to me, James said, coming to his niece's defense. Leave her alone, Kathy. Kathy's eyes flashed. Excuse me, but I'm her mother. I think I know what's best for my daughter. Do you? The question was out of my mouth before I could stop it. The table went silent. Everyone stared at me, forks frozen mid-bite. What did you say? Kathy asked, her voice dangerously quiet. I should have backed down. I should have apologized, laughed it off, kept the peace. That's what I'd always done before. But something in me had shifted. Maybe it was seeing all my sons together, remembering Richard and the values he'd taught our family. Maybe it was Lily's miserable face, the way she'd shrunk into herself. Maybe I was just tired of being silent. I said, do you? Because from where I'm sitting, it doesn't seem like you know much about what Lily needs at all. Mom, Daniel warned, his voice tight. But I couldn't stop now. When's the last time you actually talked to your daughter, Kathy? Asked her about school, her friends, her art? When's the last time you hugged her or told her you were proud of her? Kathy stood up, her chair scraping loudly against the floor. How dare you? How dare you question my parenting in front of everyone? Someone needs to. I shot back, standing as well. Because that girl is suffering, and you're too wrapped up in your country clubs and charity galas to notice or care. Christina, that's enough, Constance said sharply. You're being incredibly rude. Rude? You want to talk about being rude? How about the way you've criticized everything about this meal, this house, this family since you walked in? How about the way you tear down your own granddaughter every chance you get? Lily needs to learn standards, Constance snapped. She needs to understand excellence, something she'll never learn from. She gestured around dismissively. All this. All this. I repeated. You mean family? Love? The kind of home where people actually care about each other. Mom, please stop, Daniel begged. He looked like he might cry. But I couldn't stop. Years of holding back, of biting my tongue, of watching Lily suffer in silence. It all came pouring out. No, Daniel. I'm done staying quiet. Your wife treats your daughter like an inconvenience, like an embarrassment. She destroyed that girl's confidence, made her feel worthless and unloved. And you let her. That's not fair, Daniel said, but his voice lacked conviction. Isn't it? When's the last time you stood up for Lily? When's the last time you told Kathy that her behavior was unacceptable? I love my daughter, Kathy said coldly. I have provided her with everything, the best schools, the best clothes, the best opportunities. Everything except what she actually needs, I countered. A mother who loves her unconditionally. How dare you imply I don't love my daughter? Then show her. Look at her, Kathy. Really look at her. That girl is miserable. She's anxious and depressed and convinced she's not good enough because you've spent 15 years making her feel that way. Lily was crying now, silent tears streaming down her face. James had his arm around her shoulders, while Patricia grabbed tissues and Derek and Justin looked like they wanted to bolt. This is inappropriate, Henry Sutton said, standing. We're leaving. Constance, get your coat. Kathy, we're taking you and Lily with us. You don't need to be subjected to this hysteria. No, I said firmly. Lily stays here. With people who actually love her. You don't get to make that decision, Kathy hissed. Watch me. Daniel, are you really going to let them take your daughter? Are you really going to continue letting Kathy destroy her? My son looked torn, anguished, trapped between the woman he'd married and the daughter he loved. But before he could answer, before anyone could say anything else, Kathy spoke the words that changed everything. Fine. Let her stay. Let Christina keep her precious little Lily. Because honestly, she looked directly at Lily, her expression filled with contempt. She doesn't deserve a seat at this table anyway. The words hung in the air like poison gas. For a moment nobody moved. Nobody breathed. Then I put down my fork. The sound it made hitting the plate wasn't loud, but in the shocked silence it echoed like a gunshot. Get out, I said quietly. Kathy blinked. What? I said get out of my house. My voice was steel, cold and hard in a way I'd never heard it before. You and your parents. Get out. Now. You can't, Kathy started. This is my house. My home. Built by my husband with his own 2 hands. Filled with love and memories and family. Real family. And you, Kathy Sutton-Chun, are not part of this family. You never have been. Mom, Daniel said weakly, but I held up my hand. No, Daniel. Not this time. I have kept my mouth shut for 7 years. 7 years of watching your wife belittle our family, dismiss our values, and destroy your daughter. I'm done. I looked at Lily, my sweet granddaughter, with tears streaming down her face, and something fierce and protective roared to life in my chest. Lily, I said gently, go upstairs to your father's old room. Uncle James, go with her, please. James stood immediately, guiding Lily out of the room. I waited until I heard footsteps on the stairs before turning back to Kathy. Now, I said, let me tell you exactly what's going to happen. You're going to leave. You're going to go back to your perfect house with your perfect parents and your perfect life. And you're going to think very hard about whether you actually want to be married to Daniel, or if you married him just to rebel against your parents by choosing someone beneath you. How dare you? Constance started, but I cut her off. I'm not finished. Lily is going to stay here with me. Not for tonight, not for a week, for as long as she needs to feel safe and loved and wanted. If you or your parents have a problem with that, we can discuss it with lawyers present. You can't just take my daughter, Kathy said, but her voice wavered. I'm not taking her. I'm protecting her. There's a difference. I turned to Daniel, my heart breaking for my son but my resolve unshaken. Daniel, you have a choice to make. You can go with your wife and continue pretending everything's fine, or you can stay here and start being the father your daughter needs. But you can't do both anymore. Lily deserves better than what she's been getting. Daniel looked between me and Kathy, his face crumbling. I don't know what to do. Yes, you do, Marcus said, speaking up for the first time. He'd been watching everything unfold with the calm, analytical mind of a doctor assessing a crisis. You choose your daughter. That's what Dad would have done. That's what any real father does. Marcus is right, Patricia added softly. Your daughter needs you, Daniel. More than Kathy does. This is ridiculous, Henry Sutton blustered. We're not going to stand here and be insulted by. Then don't stand here, I interrupted. The door's right there. Use it. Subscribe to Family Tales if you're still with me, because what I'm about to tell you next is something I never expected to discover. Something that made Kathy's cruelty make a terrible kind of sense. Constance gathered her purse, her face tight with rage. You'll regret this, Christina. We have lawyers. Good lawyers. We'll make sure you never see that girl again. Try it, I said calmly. I have 7 years of documentation. Every time Lily came here crying. Every horrible thing Kathy said to her. Every instance of emotional abuse. I've been writing it all down, saving every text message, every email. I didn't know why I was doing it at the time, but now I do. I was building a case. Kathy's face went pale. You wouldn't dare. Watch me, because if you try to take Lily away from the people who actually love her, I will bury you. I will make sure every judge, every social worker, every person involved in this case knows exactly what kind of mother you've been. I've given her everything. Kathy shrieked, her composure finally cracking. Accept what she needs. I shouted back. Love. Acceptance. Basic human kindness. You've treated your own daughter like she's an unwanted houseguest. Like she's an inconvenience you have to tolerate. That's not motherhood, Kathy. That's torture. Kathy opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. For once, she had no cutting response, no clever comeback. We're leaving, she finally said, her voice shaking. Henry, Constance, let's go. Daniel, are you coming? My son stood frozen, tears streaming down his face. He looked at the stairs where his daughter had disappeared, then at his wife, then back at me. Kathy, I think I need to stay. I need to talk to Lily. If you stay here, don't bother coming home, Kathy said coldly. Is that really what you want? Daniel asked, his voice breaking. You'd rather end our marriage than admit you've been wrong? That you've hurt our daughter? I haven't done anything wrong. Your mother has poisoned you against me, just like she's been poisoning Lily. Poisoning her? I laughed bitterly. I've been the only one showing that girl unconditional love, the only one making her feel valued and wanted. If that's poison, then the world needs more of it. You've turned her against me, Kathy insisted. She used to try to please me, and now she barely speaks to me. Maybe because nothing she does is ever good enough for you, Daniel shouted, surprising everyone. My quiet, gentle son never raised his voice. Maybe because you criticize everything about her. Her clothes, her grades, her art, her friends. Maybe because you've spent her entire life making her feel like she's a disappointment. I've tried to help her improve, to be better. She doesn't need to be better. She's perfect the way she is. Why can't you see that? Because she's not. Kathy's voice rose to a scream. She's not perfect, Daniel. She's ordinary. She's average. She's nothing special and I can't stand it. I can't stand having a daughter who's so mediocre. The room went dead silent. Even Constance and Henry looked shocked by their daughter's outburst. There it is, I said quietly. The truth finally comes out. Kathy seemed to realize what she'd said. Her hand flew to her mouth. I didn't mean. Yes, you did, Daniel said, his voice hollow. You meant every word. My God, Kathy. What's wrong with you? She's our daughter. She's a child. A child I never wanted. The words exploded out of Kathy like they'd been held back too long, too tightly. There. Are you happy now? I never wanted children. I never wanted to be a mother. I told you that when we met, but you said I'd change my mind. You said it would be different once the baby was born. But it wasn't different. It was worse. The room was so quiet I could hear the clock ticking in the hallway, the distant sound of James's voice upstairs, probably trying to comfort Lily. Then why did you have her? Daniel whispered. Because you wanted a baby so badly. Because your mother was dropping hints every 5 minutes. Because everyone expected it. Because that's what people do when they get married, they have children. I thought I could fake it, pretend to be something I'm not. But I can't. I've tried for 15 years and I just can't. Part of me wanted to feel sympathy for her at that moment. Because there was real pain in her voice, real anguish. Being forced into motherhood when you don't want it must be its own kind of hell. But then I thought about Lily. Lily, who had spent her entire life trying to earn love from a mother who was incapable of giving it. Lily, who had internalized Kathy's rejection as proof of her own inadequacy. And my sympathy evaporated. You should have been honest, I said. You should have told Daniel the truth before you got married. You should have gotten help, gone to therapy, done something instead of taking your resentment out on an innocent child. I know, Kathy said, and for the first time she sounded genuinely defeated. I know that now. But it's too late, isn't it? I've already destroyed everything. You've destroyed your relationship with your daughter, Marcus said. But it's not too late for Lily to heal. Not if she's removed from your toxicity. Kathy flinched like she'd been slapped. I should go, she said quietly. You're right, Christina. I don't belong here. I never did. She walked toward the door, her parents following. But before she left, she turned back to Daniel. I'll have my lawyer contact you about the divorce. I won't fight you for custody. Clearly, I'm not fit to be a mother. You and your perfect family can have her. Kathy, Daniel started, but she held up her hand. No. There's nothing left to say. I'll pack her things and have them sent over. Goodbye, Daniel. The door closed behind them with a quiet click. In the silence that followed, Daniel collapsed into a chair, his head in his hands, sobbing like his heart was breaking. Because it was. Despite everything, he'd loved Kathy. He'd believed in their marriage, believed that love could fix anything. And now he was learning the painful truth that some things are too broken to repair. Patricia went to him, kneeling beside his chair, rubbing his back while he cried. Marcus stood nearby, his doctor's face on, probably assessing his brother for signs of shock. Derek and Justin exchanged uncomfortable glances, not sure what to do. I stood in the middle of my dining room, surrounded by the ruins of Thanksgiving dinner, and felt suddenly overwhelmingly exhausted. I was too old for this kind of drama. My heart was racing, my hands were shaking, and I needed to sit down before I fell down. Mom, Marcus said, noticing. He guided me to a chair. Are you okay? I'm fine, I said automatically. Then more honestly. No, I'm not fine. But I will be. That was the bravest thing I've ever seen you do, Patricia said quietly. Standing up to her like that. It was long overdue, I replied. I should have done it years ago. Maybe if I had, Lily wouldn't have suffered so much. You can't blame yourself, Marcus said. You were trying to keep the peace, trying to respect Daniel's choices. That's what good mothers do. Good mothers protect their grandchildren, I countered. Even when it means going to war with their own sons' wives. James came downstairs then, his face grim. Lily heard everything. The walls are thin. And Kathy was screaming toward the end. My heart sank. How is she? Confused. Hurt. But also relieved, I think. She said she always knew her mother didn't want her. but hearing it confirmed is its own kind of pain. I need to see her, Daniel said, standing up abruptly. His face was blotchy from crying, but there was a determination in his eyes I hadn't seen in years. I need to talk to my daughter. Maybe give her a few minutes, James suggested. Let her process everything first. No. I've given her enough few minutes over the years. I've waited and delayed and made excuses. Not anymore. He looked at me.
Mom, I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry I didn't listen to you. I'm sorry I let this go on for so long. I know, honey. But right now Lily needs you more than I need apologies. He nodded and headed upstairs. We heard his footsteps, the quiet knock on the bedroom door, the soft murmur of voices. I looked around at my family, Marcus and Patricia, James, Derek and Justin, all standing in my dining room with cold food congealing on plates, the remnants of what should have been a perfect Thanksgiving. Well, I said with a shaky laugh, that certainly didn't go as planned. Are you kidding? James said, a smile playing on his lips. That was the most excitement this family had in years. I should have brought my camera. Despite everything, I laughed. Trust James to find the absurdity in tragedy. What happens now? Derek asked. I mean, legally speaking, can Kathy really just walk away from her daughter? If she voluntarily gives up custody, yes, Marcus said. He'd pulled out his phone and was already researching. Daniel will need a good lawyer, but if Kathy's not contesting it, it should be relatively straightforward. And Mom? Patricia asked, looking at me. What about you? You offered to let Lily stay here. Are you sure you're up for that? Was I? I was 68 years old. I lived alone in a house that had felt too big and empty since Richard died. Could I really take on the responsibility of raising a teenager? But then I thought about Lily's face when Kathy said she didn't deserve a seat at our table. I thought about all the times she'd come to me crying, all the times she told me I was the only one who understood her. I thought about Richard, who had loved our grandchildren fiercely and would have moved heaven and earth to protect them. Yes, I said firmly. I'm sure. Lily belongs here with a family who loves her. For as long as she needs. We'll help, Marcus said immediately. Patricia and I can send money for her expenses, school supplies, clothes, whatever she needs. I can visit more often, James added. Take her on adventures, teach her photography. Give her reasons to smile. And we'll come see her whenever we're in town, Derek chimed in with just a nodding agreement. Looking at my family, my sons and their partners and children, all rallying around one hurt little girl, I felt something warm bloom in my chest. This was what Richard and I had built. Not a perfect family, but a real one. One that showed up when it mattered. Upstairs, I could hear Daniel's voice, low and earnest, talking to Lily. I couldn't make out the words, but I could hear the emotion in his tone. He was finally being the father she needed. You know what? I said, looking at the table full of cold food. I'm going to reheat everything. We're going to sit back down and finish this meal properly. Because Thanksgiving isn't about perfection. It's about family. And our family just got a little stronger. Here, here, James said, grabbing dishes and heading toward the kitchen. We all pitched in, warming up the food, resetting the table, putting out fresh napkins. It was like a reset button on the entire evening. A chance to do it right this time. 20 minutes later, Daniel and Lily came downstairs. Lily's eyes were red and swollen, but she was holding her father's hand tightly. Daniel looked like he'd aged 10 years in the last hour, but there was something different in his expression. Something resolved. Lily wants to stay here for a while, he said. And I think that's a good idea. I need to figure out my life, deal with the divorce, find a new place to live. Mom, if you're serious about this. I've never been more serious about anything, I interrupted. Lily rushed over and threw her arms around me. Thank you, Grandma, she whispered. Thank you for standing up for me. I held her tight, this girl who had been carrying too much weight for too long. Always, sweetheart. Always. We all sat back down at the table. This time there was no tension, no walking on eggshells, no performing for anyone. It was just us, messy, imperfect, real. Before we eat, I said, I want to say something. This family has been through a lot today. We've said hard things and heard hard truths. But we're still here. We're still together. And that matters more than anything. I looked around the table at each face. My sons, my daughter-in-law, my grandchildren, and most especially Lily, who was sitting beside me with a small tentative smile on her face. Richard used to say that family isn't about being perfect. It's about showing up, especially when things get difficult. So thank you all for showing up today. For Lily, for Daniel, for each other. To family, Marcus said, raising his glass. To family, we all echoed. And then we ate. We ate and talked and laughed and cried a little more. Derek told embarrassing stories about Marcus in medical school. James showed us pictures from his travels. Patricia talked about their new life in Boston. Daniel and Lily sat close together, both of them healing in small, quiet ways. It wasn't the Thanksgiving I'd planned. It was better, because it was real. The months that followed that explosive Thanksgiving were both harder and easier than I expected. The hard part was watching Daniel navigate his divorce. Kathy hired an expensive lawyer, but true to her word, she didn't fight for custody. In fact, she seemed eager to wash her hands of the whole thing. The divorce was finalized in March, just 4 months after that fateful dinner. Daniel moved into a small apartment near my house, close enough that he could see Lily every day but far enough that she had space and stability with me. He threw himself into his art with a fervor I hadn't seen since he was young, painting from a place of pain and honesty that made his work rawer and more powerful than ever before. It's like I've been seeing the world through a fog for years. He told me one afternoon while setting up an easel in my backyard so he and Lily could paint together. And now everything's finally clear. Pain has a way of clarifying things, I said. I just wish I hadn't needed so much pain to see what was right in front of me. We all have regrets, honey. What matters is what you do moving forward. And what he did was show up. Every single day, he showed up for his daughter. They had breakfast together most mornings. He drove her to school, picked her up, helped with homework. They painted together, went to art galleries, took long walks where they talked about everything and nothing. Lily slowly began to bloom. It wasn't immediate. Trauma doesn't heal overnight. She started therapy twice a week with a wonderful counselor who specialized in emotional abuse and parental rejection. Dr. Sarah Chan, no relation to us, though Lily found it funny that they shared a last name, was patient and kind, helping Lily process years of hurt. She says I'm not responsible for my mother's inability to love me, Lily told me one evening as we made dinner together. She'd been living with me for 3 months by then, and we'd settled into comfortable routines. That it's not a reflection of my worth as a person. Dr. Chun is absolutely right, I said, chopping vegetables for the stir-fry we were making. Your mother's limitations are her own. They have nothing to do with how wonderful you are. I'm starting to believe that, Lily said softly. Some days more than others. That's all any of us can do. Try to believe it a little more each day. Living with Lily brought unexpected joy into my life. The house that had felt so empty after Richard died was suddenly full of teenage energy. There was music playing at all hours, art supplies scattered across the dining room table, friends coming over for study sessions and movie nights. Megan, the girl Lily had mentioned, became a regular fixture. She was a lovely kid, confident and kind, with bright pink streaks in her dark hair and an infectious laugh. She and Lily spent hours in the garage-turned studio, painting and talking and being the kind of carefree teenagers they should always have been allowed to be. Your grandmother is so cool, I overheard Megan tell Lily one afternoon. My grandma just wants me to sit quietly and not mess up her furniture. Grandma Christina is the best, Lily agreed, and the pride in her voice made my heart swell. I had my challenges too. 15-year-old girls are not always easy to live with. There were mood swings and messy rooms and an occasional teenage attitude. There were arguments about curfews and appropriate clothing and screen time. But there was also laughter. So much laughter. There were spontaneous dance parties in the kitchen and late-night conversations about boys and dreams and fears. There were quiet moments on the porch swing, Lily's head on my shoulder, both of us watching the sunset in comfortable silence. Do you ever miss having your house to yourself? Patricia asked me during one of her visits. She and Marcus came down from Boston every few months, making sure to spend time with Lily and check on how we were managing. Never, I said honestly. This is what this house was meant for, family. It's what Richard would have wanted. Marcus had been incredibly helpful throughout everything. He'd connected Daniel with a good divorce lawyer, and made sure Lily had access to the best therapists. He'd also had a frank conversation with his brother about not repeating past mistakes. He's different now, Marcus told me. More present, more aware. I think losing Kathy was the wake-up call he needed. I hope so. Lily's starting to trust him again, but it's fragile. If he lets her down. He won't, Marcus said firmly. I've never seen Daniel more committed to anything in his life. James visited whenever he was stateside, which was more often than before. He claimed it was because he discovered some great photo opportunities in Texas, but I knew the truth. He was making sure his niece was okay. He took Lily on photo walks, teaching her to see the world through a camera lens, to find beauty in unexpected places. They'd come back with memory cards full of images, abandoned buildings, street art, candid shots of strangers and each other. Uncle James says I have a good eye, Lily told me, showing me her favorite shots on his professional camera. He thinks I could study photography if I wanted to. You can study anything you want, I told her. The world is wide open for you, sweetheart. Her face clouded slightly. Do you think Mom will ever want to see me again? It was a question she asked periodically, always with the same mixture of hope and dread. Kathy hadn't reached out once since Thanksgiving. No calls, no texts, no birthday card when Lily turned 15 in January. I don't know, honey, I said honestly. Your mother is dealing with her own issues. Maybe someday she'll get help and be able to have a relationship with you. But you can't wait for that. You can't put your life on hold hoping she'll change. I know. Dr. Chan says the same thing. It's just hard. Some part of me still wants her to love me. That's natural. She's your mother. But remember, her inability to show love doesn't diminish your worth. You are lovable, Lily. So many people love you exactly as you are. I love you too, Grandma. She hugged me tightly. Thank you for saving me. Oh, sweetheart, you saved yourself. I just provided a soft place to land. By May, 6 months after that pivotal Thanksgiving, Lily's transformation was remarkable. Her grades had improved dramatically. She was on track to make the honor roll. She joined the school art club and the photography club. She had a solid group of friends who appreciated her quiet humor and artistic talent. Most importantly, she smiled. Really smiled with her whole face, her eyes lighting up with genuine joy. That's when I knew we'd done the right thing. Daniel was thriving too. His art was getting recognition. He'd had 2 gallery showings and sold several pieces. He'd started dating Rebecca, the kindergarten teacher, and their relationship seemed healthy and stable. More importantly, he'd introduced her to Lily slowly and carefully, making sure his daughter was comfortable every step of the way. Rebecca's nice, Lily told me after meeting her for the 3rd time. She doesn't try too hard, you know? She's just normal. She treats me like a person, not like a problem to solve. That's how it should be, I said. Dad's happier too. I can tell. He laughs more now. Freedom has a way of doing that. Your father spent years trying to be someone he wasn't, trying to fit into your mother's world. Now he can just be himself. Is that why you never remarried after Grandpa died? Lily asked. Because you didn't want to change who you were for someone else? The question caught me off guard. Partially, I admitted. But mostly because your grandfather was the love of my life. We had 43 years together and they were good years. I didn't need to try to recreate that with someone else. Do you miss him? Every single day. But having you here helps. You remind me so much of him, the way you see beauty in everything, the way you care about people, your gentle spirit. He would have loved seeing the person you're becoming. Lily's eyes filled with tears. I wish I'd known him better. I was only 10 when he died. He knew you, sweetheart. And he loved you so much. Every painting you made, every story you told, every time you visited. Those were his favorite days. We sat together in comfortable silence, both remembering the man who had built this house, this family, this legacy of love that continued even after he was gone. The real test came in June when Lily's school had a Mother's Day art show. Students were invited to bring their mothers to see their work displayed in the school gallery. I don't want to go, Lily told me a week before the event. Everyone will be there with their moms, and I'll be the only one without. She trailed off, but I understood. Despite all the progress she'd made, Kathy's absence still hurt. What if I came with you? I suggested. You're not my mom, Grandma. No, I'm not. But I'm family and I love you and I want to see your work displayed. Isn't that what matters? Lily considered this. Would that be weird? Bringing my grandmother instead of my mother? Who cares if it's weird? When have we ever cared about what other people think? She smiled at that. Never, I guess. Exactly. So I'm coming to your art show, and I'm going to be so proud of you that everyone in that school will know it. The night of the art show, I dressed up in my best outfit, a navy blue pantsuit that Patricia had helped me pick out during her last visit. Lily wore a dress she'd chosen herself. No input from Kathy about appropriateness or country club standards. It was deep purple with stars embroidered on it, and she looked beautiful. Daniel met us there with Rebecca, who had become a steady presence in their lives over the past few months. The four of us walked into the school together. A patchwork family that didn't look like the traditional picture but felt right nonetheless. Lily's artwork was stunning. She'd submitted a series of paintings titled Finding Home, each one depicting a different aspect of family and belonging. There was one of my kitchen, warm and golden with afternoon light. One of her and Daniel painting in the backyard. One of the entire family at a dinner table. Not the disastrous Thanksgiving, but an imagined perfect meal with everyone smiling and connected. Oh honey, I breathed looking at the paintings. These are extraordinary. You really think so? Lily asked nervously. I know so. Your talent is undeniable. Other parents crowded around, admiring the work, asking Lily about her process and inspiration. She handled it all with growing confidence, explaining her artistic choices, accepting compliments with grace. Then I noticed a woman lingering at the edge of the crowd, staring at Lily's paintings with an unreadable expression. My heart stopped when I realized who it was. Kathy. She'd changed in the 6 months since I'd last seen her. She looked thinner, more tired, less perfectly polished. Her expensive clothes hung differently, and there were shadows under her eyes that makeup couldn't quite hide. Our eyes met across the room. For a moment I saw something flash in her expression. Regret, maybe, or longing. But then Lily noticed her. Mom. Lily's voice was small, uncertain. The room seemed to hold its breath. Daniel moved closer to his daughter protectively while Rebecca stepped back, giving them space. Kathy walked over slowly, like she was approaching a wild animal that might bolt. Hi Lily, she said softly. Your paintings are beautiful. What are you doing here? Lily asked. She wasn't hostile, just confused. Your school sent an email to all parents about the show. I know I don't have the right to be here, but I wanted to see your work. You haven't called in 6 months, Lily said, her voice shaking. Not on my birthday, not on Christmas, not once. And now you just show up. I know. I'm sorry. I've been. Kathy paused, seeming to struggle for words. I've been getting help. Therapy. A lot of therapy. Trying to figure out why I am the way I am, why I couldn't be the mother you deserved. And, Lily asked, did you figure it out? Some of it, Kathy admitted. My own mother was cold and critical. I learned from her that love was conditional, that it had to be earned through perfection. When you couldn't be perfect, when you were just a normal, wonderful kid, I didn't know how to handle it. So I did what my mother did, and I hate myself for it. It was the most honest I'd ever heard Kathy be. No defenses, no excuses, just raw truth. I'm not asking for forgiveness, Kathy continued. I don't deserve it. I just wanted you to know that what happened wasn't your fault. You were never the problem, Lily. I was. And I'm trying to be better. But I know that doesn't erase the damage I've done. Lily stood there, tears streaming down her face, looking between her mother and the rest of us. I don't know what you want from me, she finally said. Nothing, Kathy replied. I don't want anything from you. I just wanted you to know that I see now what I couldn't see before, that you're extraordinary exactly as you are. These paintings prove it. You have a gift, Lily. Don't let anyone, especially not me, make you doubt that. With that, Kathy turned to leave. But Lily called out, wait. Kathy stopped, hope flickering across her face. I'm not ready to have you back in my life, Lily said, her voice stronger now. Maybe someday, but not now. I'm happy where I am. I'm safe, I'm loved, and I'm healing. I can't risk that yet. I understand, Kathy said, and she seemed to mean it. I'll keep working on myself. And maybe someday if you're ever ready. But no pressure. Take all the time you need. Take forever if that's what you need. She left then, walking out of the school gallery and back into whatever life she was building for herself. We all watched her go, processing what had just happened. Are you okay? I asked Lily. She thought about it for a long moment. Yeah, she finally said. I think I am. It's weird, but seeing her like that, admitting she was wrong, not trying to make excuses, it helps somehow. Like maybe it really wasn't about me. It was never about you, Daniel said, pulling his daughter into a hug. You are perfect, and I'm sorry it took me so long to protect you from someone who couldn't see that. It's okay, Dad. We're okay now. And we were. Not perfect, not without scars, but okay. Better than okay, actually. We were a family, pieced together from broken parts but stronger for it. I'm sitting on my porch swing now, 1 year after that Thanksgiving dinner that changed everything. It's October again, and the Texas heat is finally giving way to cooler autumn air. Lily is inside doing homework, music playing from her room. She's 16 now, a junior in high school, already looking at colleges with strong art programs. Daniel is in the backyard studio, working on a commission piece, his career thriving in ways he never imagined. Rebecca will be here for dinner soon. She's practically part of the family now, treating Lily with the easy affection of a favorite aunt. Marcus and Patricia are planning their Christmas visit, and James just sent a postcard from somewhere in South America, promising to be home for Thanksgiving this year. Derek and Justin video chat with Lily regularly, giving her advice about everything from boyfriends to college applications. We're having Thanksgiving here again next month. All of us gathered around the same table where everything fell apart and came back together. Lily's already planning the menu, insisting we make her favorite dishes alongside traditional fare. Kathy won't be there. She's still working on herself, still in therapy, still learning how to be a person who can love without conditions. She sends Lily letters sometimes, not asking for anything, just sharing her progress, apologizing in different ways, telling Lily about the work she's doing. Lily reads them, processes them with Dr. Chun, and sometimes writes back. Short notes, carefully boundaried, but it's something. Maybe someday they'll have a relationship. Maybe not. But that's for Lily to decide when and if she's ready. As for me, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. Yes, I'm 69 now and sometimes my knees ache when I climb the stairs. Yes, keeping up with a teenager is exhausting in ways I didn't anticipate. Yes, there are moments when I wonder if I took on too much. But then Lily comes and sits beside me on this porch swing, resting her head on my shoulder like she did when she was small, and tells me about her day, the good and the bad, the triumphs and struggles, and I know with absolute certainty that standing up that Thanksgiving night was the best thing I've ever done. Richard would be proud. Proud of me for finding my voice, proud of Daniel for choosing his daughter, and most of all, proud of Lily for surviving and thriving despite everything. I've learned some things in these 69 years, but the most important lessons came late. I learned that keeping the peace isn't always the right choice. That sometimes love means fighting, disrupting, refusing to accept what's unacceptable. I learned that family isn't just about blood. It's about showing up, especially when things are hardest. I learned that children are resilient, but they shouldn't have to be. That they deserve protection and love, and someone willing to stand up for them when they can't stand up for themselves. Most of all, I learned that it's never too late to do the right thing. Never too late to speak truth, to draw boundaries, to choose love over politeness. If you've stayed with me through this whole story, if Lily's journey has touched your heart the way it's touched mine, I have one more favor to ask. Subscribe to Family Tales. Share this story, because somewhere out there is a child like Lily. A child who feels unloved, unwanted, not good enough. And somewhere there's a grandmother or grandfather, an aunt or uncle, a family friend who sees that child's pain but doesn't know if they should intervene. I'm here to tell you, intervene. Speak up. Stand up. Be the voice for the voiceless and the shield for the vulnerable. Yes, it will be uncomfortable. Yes, you might face backlash. Yes, relationships might end. But a child's well-being is worth it. Always. Looking back on that Thanksgiving dinner, on the sound my fork made hitting that plate, on the words I finally found the courage to say, I have no regrets. None. Because that moment of standing up saved my granddaughter's life. Maybe not literally, but spiritually, emotionally, in all the ways that matter. Lily is thriving now not because Kathy left, but because she's finally surrounded by people who love her unconditionally, who see her worth, celebrate her gifts, and hold space for her healing. That's what I hope you take from my story. Not the drama or the conflict, but the simple truth at the heart of it all. Every child deserves to be loved. Period. No conditions, no requirements, no earning it. Just pure unconditional love. And if someone at your table is denying a child that basic right, put down your fork, stand up, and fight for that child with everything you have. Because family isn't about sitting down at a table together. It's about making sure everyone at that table knows they belong there, they're wanted there, they're loved there. That's the lesson Richard taught me in our 43 years together. That's what I'm teaching Lily now. And that's what I hope you'll carry with you, long after you've finished listening to this old woman's story. Thank you for being part of our family tales. Thank you for caring enough to listen. And thank you for being the kind of person who believes that every child deserves a seat at the table. God bless you, and may your own tables always be filled with love, laughter, and people who make you feel like you belong. Until next time, this is Christina Chun, reminding you that it's never too late to stand up for what's right. Never too late to choose love. Never too late to save a child who needs saving. Now if you'll excuse me, I hear Lily calling that dinner's ready. And there's no place I'd rather be than sitting at that table with her. Sharing a meal, sharing our lives, and thanking God every single day that I finally found the courage to put down my fork and stand up.